All right, welcome to the Ironwood Gym. Today we're going to do a crash course on the bench press. And the bench press is very screwed up movement, all right, because everyone and their brother's uncle thinks that they know how to bench, because all it is laying down on the bench and pushing the bar up. If you don't care if you end up hurting your shoulders or your pecs or how much you can bench, then fine, go ahead and do that. But if you want to lift more weight and you want to continue getting stronger and you want to do it in a safe manner that's not going to lead to injuries, then there are several technical elements that we can bring into play to help you get the most out of the bench press. So that's what this video is going to go over. It's not going to be a lot of explanation. It's just going to be basically a how-to. Now, one thing about this video is it is not really for the advanced powerlifter. So if you're someone that has been lifting for a long time, that has really honed in your technique, and you're looking for those extra little tricks or little secrets on the bench press, they're not going to be in here, all right? There are definitely things that I'm going to leave out that are more curtailed to the advanced lifter. This is going to be a more focus on the basics type of video. So to get started, first thing we need to look at is these J-hooks and how you set those J-hooks. And I realize some of you are lifting in gyms that have a J-hook up high and 8 inches lower, it's got another J-hook. They're set in place and you can't move those. Unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with those. Hopefully it has more than 2 and it has maybe 3 or 4 that you can choose from, and then you can choose something that's close to being in the right position. But if you can adjust your J-hooks, then you want to set your J-hooks so that when you clear the rack, when you're taking the bar out, you're clearing it by 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Okay, maybe 2 inches at most, but definitely no less than 1 inch. And the other thing you have to realize with that is that when you get to a decent amount of weight, and I'm talking probably around 275 to 315 and definitely higher than 315, that when you take the bar out, it's actually going to compress and settle. So when you do that, now you're not, with those weights, you're not going to be clearing the J-hooks by as much. You may even be scraping the J-hooks. So you need to set your J-hooks accordingly. If you're handling a lot of weight, you may need to set them a little bit lower so that you know you're going to clear the J-hooks when you're taking the bar out and when you're putting the bar back in the rack. You should never be dragging at all. You definitely don't want to be hitting them after a hard set and then not knowing if you're getting in the rack or not. All right, so the next thing we need to look at is the grip. And there's a couple different components to this. First is where you're going to put your hands on the bar. How wide is your grip going to be? And for most people, they're going to take half a thumb's distance from the smooth part of the bar, okay, right where the smooth turns into the knurling. Place that joint right on that line, okay? So that would be the closest. To the widest for most people would be pinky on the rings, and that's for a power bar. If you have a weightlifting bar that the rings are out wider, that might be a little too wide. But for your power bars, thumb's distance from the smooth to pinky on the rings. Now, if you're a larger person or you have very long arms, you may need to go a little bit wider than that. But for most people, they're going to be in that range. Half a thumb's distance from the smooth to pinky on the rings. Okay, the next thing on grip is that where you place the bar in your hand is actually pretty important. And it just seems to me that it's typically lifters or athletes that aren't as strong, especially on the female side, that they will grip the bar way up in the palm of their hand or in the middle of their hand, and then when they take the bar out and they're handling weight, their wrist is folded way back because the bar is up higher in their hand, and then they're complaining about their wrist hurting. Okay, that's not a good location for the bar. You want to set that bar just above or right basically on that meaty part of your hand, down low in the palm of your hand that comes off your thumb. Okay, so that bar should sit right on top of that. And your wrist should probably be in this position when you have the bar out of the rack. Not folded way back, but having your completely straight wrist straight wrist for most people probably isn't very realistic. So right on the top of that meaty part, you're going to have a little cock back in the wrist, but the bar should be sitting basically straight over your elbow if you made a straight line from the bar down to your elbow. All right, so now we're going to look at actually setting up to bench. So I realize this bar or this upright is in the way a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see, but I do bench inside my rack, so that's what we're going to work with. So you want to set it out at the end of the bench, and as I lay back, once I lay back, I'm going to take my grip on the bar, and I'm going to get my feet set on the floor. All right, so that I may move them around before I start to lift, but I do need my feet to be on the floor to get set up properly and to perform the movement. So I'm going to lay back. I'm going to take my grip on the bar. As I take my grip on the bar, what I'm doing with my back is I'm pulling my shoulder blades together. Okay? Pulling my shoulder blades together. Now with my feet on the floor, I'm going to drive myself back on the bench, back towards the uprights. And as I do that, I'm taking my lats and pulling my shoulder blades down towards my hips. Okay? So now, if you notice, my hips are actually up off the bench. But before I go to take the bar out of the rack, I want to set my hips back down and keep driving with my feet. So I'm driving back towards my head. Okay? Right here, this is a very uncomfortable position, but everything is completely locked in. All right? So, again, as I drive myself back, my shoulder blades should be pulled back hard, and I'm going to lock them down in and try to pull with my lats. I'm going to try to pull my shoulder blades down towards my hips. Okay? That gives me a very strong base to work from. It also puts me in a better position that will help protect my shoulders. If I'm just completely flat on the bench, that's actually making my shoulders and my pecs more vulnerable because I'm going through a larger range of motion, and it's a range of motion that it doesn't do anything to create that base to lift from. Therefore, the shoulder is taking all of that stress. So we're going to try to share that with our back. Our traps and our lats are going to lock everything in and take some of that stress off of our shoulders. Now, the other thing you notice is that I had a little bit of an arch. Now the only arch that I had, and I am not an anti-arch guy, I'm fine with arching. If you're competing, go ahead and arch. If it works for you, then go ahead and do that. But if you're not competing, you probably don't need to take an excessive arch. All right, it's just not necessary. So, but you did notice that I did have a little bit of an arch there. That's okay, all right? That arch is okay. The only arch that I'm getting is what I'm getting from putting my shoulders in the proper position by pulling them back and down. So that's going to create a little bit of an arch. Just go ahead and go with that. That's actually putting me in a good position to lift from. All right, so from there, the other thing that I'm doing is I'm driving my feet into the floor the entire time. All right, once I get set up, I'm driving my feet into the floor. And I'm driving myself back on the bench that way. When I take the bar out and I start to lift, I'm going to continue to drive with my feet. The bench press is not just an upper body exercise. You need to utilize your entire body to create a safe and more efficient movement. And that includes using your legs to drive. Now you shouldn't be driving with your legs so your hips are coming up off the bench. You're driving with your legs back on the bench so that everything stays locked in nice and tight. And you're getting a little bit more drive with those legs that's going to carry through your arms into the bar as far as moving the bar. Now as you're benching, once I take the bar out, as you're benching, you don't want your elbows straight out to the side. All right, you're going to take the bar out so it's about mid-chest level. And as you bring the bar down, your elbows are going to come down towards your hips. I'm not going to say tuck because a lot of people, when they think tucking their elbows, they're trying to do this. They're trying to pull them all the way to their sides. Okay, that's not a good position for your elbows or for a strong position to be in, but you want your elbows down low versus straight out to the side. So when I'm looking at it from a top angle, which you're looking at right now, you can see my upper arm is down at an angle, but it's not squeezed in, all right? That's leaving my forearms vertical, okay? I want to maintain a vertical forearm throughout the movement, okay? The other thing you'll notice, and you'll see it just in a second, I'm going to lower the bar so my forearms stay vertical. I'm not going to let my forearms fold back, all right? If my forearms are folding back, my triceps are not strong enough, and I need to focus on utilizing my arms more, all right? So my forearms should stay vertical. As I press the bar, it's going to go in an almost straight line and lock out basically right over mid-chest where I finished. But where I touch should be low chest to, if you're a female lifter, bottom of the sports bra. Forget the nipple height position. Go low chest to just below the pecs. Female lifters, bottom of the sports bra. So here's what that should look like. Again, set at the end of the bench, lay back, get a firm grip on the bar, pull my shoulder blades together, feet are firmly driven on the floor. I'm going to push myself underneath the bar. My chin is lined up right underneath the bar. Okay, my shoulder blades are pulled back and down hard. I set my hips down. I'm going to take the bar out. I'm going to take it all the way out over my chest. Now I bring the bar down, low chest, my elbows are brought down, my forearms are vertical, and I press straight back up. When I rack the bar, I put both sides in and then let the bar down. Okay. So, a couple things there that I hadn't talked about yet is when I took the bar out, I didn't just take it out and come down. I took it all the way out to where I'm the bench from. I brought the bar straight down, okay? Or almost straight down to the lower part of my chest. I pressed back up in a straight line. When I finished the set, I put both sides back in the rack. I hit the uprights and then let the bar down. If I hit on both sides, I know the bar is over the J-hooks. If I try to aim one side at a time, I could end up missing on the second side. I've seen that happen a lot. So don't aim for the J-hooks. Don't look over and try to aim for one. All right, both sides back, both sides down, same time. The other thing I mentioned on that last, as I was setting up there, that I didn't talk about before, is where you're lining up. When I line up, when I'm getting set up, and I'm lining up underneath the bar, I want my chin under the bar, not my eyes. If I line my chin up underneath the bar, then I only need to take the bar out a couple inches from the rack, and I can bench in mostly straight line without having to worry about hitting these. If I'm hitting the J-hooks using that method, chin under the bar, then my technique is off and I need to look at my technique. If you line up with your eyes under the bench, when you take the bar out, you're going to be about 6 inches away from the rack. That is too far to take the bar out. You're going to end up pulling yourself out of position. Even if you don't notice it, you are doing it a little bit. That's going to take away from how much weight you can handle and how effectively and safe you can handle that weight. So that's pretty much it as far as bench press goes. If you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to say, leave it in the comments down below and I'll definitely respond. But until next time, always be in the pursuit of strength.